Man, I look like a badass right now. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Crochet Impossible. This is the part 2 of the Irish lace Afghan. Sorry you guys, I've been really sick past month, and I also am going through a root canal right now, so I have a lot of Tylenol in me. But I figured I should finish this video so you guys can at least maybe, if you wanted to finish this for Christmas, finish it for Christmas. In this video, we are going to be working on how to finish kind of connecting all of these pieces together to make it into the Afghan, and then afterwards learning how to make the fringe and putting it on as well. So those are the two things that are left over. I figured that since this video was a little bit short, I was going to do kind of like a sit down, kind of like post-project part of the video after this, just talking about the things that I found were challenging and things that I thought were kind of cool about this project. So without further ado, let's jump into the tutorial of this portion of the video, and then after we'll come back and then we'll kind of talk about the things that I think you guys need to know before doing this project. So let's go! Hey everybody, and welcome back to the tutorial. Now, just a heads up, this is not much of a tutorial. These last two steps to finish everything is kind of like just piecing together and just kind of like, you know, making beautiful frilly bits for the project. So there's very little in terms of crocheting that is going to be happening here. What I am going to do is I'm going to show you kind of like a couple of like the pieces that I've kind of connected together, and I'll show you the way that I sewed them together. Now, just a warning, and for everyone out there, I am not the best sewer. I actually actively despise sewing, so I'm not going to be a really good person when it comes to sewing, but I will show you what I did, and hopefully that helps you, or hopefully that informs you to do it another way. For those of you who are really good at sewing, I would love for you guys to comment below on like better ways to do it. But this is how I did it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do the piecing together of all of the kind of strands that you've made, and then also the end fringe. So let's start off with the actual piecing together. You will need a darning needle for this. I like the kind of blunt end tip of the two darning needles that I have. I find that I don't like piercing through the yarn. I like going kind of like around the yarn, so then it kind of like makes like these kind of like, you know, what I call daisy chains. So I like that, but I have a darning needle, and what I've done is I have a long piece of yarn that I've cut out. I have measured the length of one of these pieces, and then I've added like a couple of inches on each side because I just kind of chose to kind of like hide the ends by kind of sewing them back and forth. I'll show you. But before we even get to that point, I've actually connected a few of these together like this. And as you can see, this is kind of how they look here. So connected all the way up here, all the way down there, and I've connected a few pieces. So as you can see, that's one right here, 2, 3, and 4. So this is 4 out of the 7 that you need. And I mean, like, it looks good. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. Just waiting for the camera. There you go. Like, it doesn't look terrible. And the reason why I've done the sewing that I have is because of the fact that the yarn that I use changes color constantly. So I didn't want to like expose the sewing job that I did, so I sewed it the way that I did. And what I did was, let me grab 2 of the ones that I haven't done, and I'll move these because they take up so much space. All right, there we go. So what I've done is end piece. Here we go. All right, sorry, we're back. I had to move a bunch of stuff. These are the ends of 2 of the long pieces that you've made, and as you can see, that's kind of like the top of the half double crochets. Now, I have tried slip stitching, but it puckers and it just doesn't look very good. Essentially what I've done is I've decided to kind of go to the very top here. As you can see, there is one stitch right there, and I go and I find the other stitch, in this case right here, and I pull it through, and what I do is I actually go through it one more time just to secure it so then it doesn't move around often or much, like this. I think, oh, there you go. That's why I didn't move. So I've done that, and I pulled through all of the yarn, leaving like, you know, about like a 6-inch tail at the end, so then that way I can use that to kind of sew in. Yeah, you're gonna have to be doing this a lot. So like, yeah, like this much of a tail, like that. So once that's secured, what I've done is, as you can see here, you have the V's, right, from each stitch. And I go underneath the V like this, and then through, and I grab the yarn like that, and then I pull through. Then I go to the other side and I do the same thing. So what I'm looking for is I'm trying to grab this loop right here with my darning needle. I mean, it doesn't work all the time, but like, you know, as long as you get some type of purchase, you're fine. What I find is when I'm doing this, I can get through maybe like a couple of these. Like let's say each time around is like both sides. I get about like maybe 6 to 12. And then what I do is I just kind of like pull the yarn through, and then I tighten everything. So one more time like this, through the yarn there, and then to the next one here. And this is extremely monotonous. I don't know if those of you who know how to sew, please let me know if there's an easier way. But I find that with this way, it makes it so that the two products actually sit flush like this, and you do not see this yarn at all. So this is what's worked for me. It does take forever to finish though. Like each one of these pieces, like I think the sewing takes almost as long. Well, actually it's an overstatement, but it feels like it takes just as long as if I were to make one of these. It's not true, but like I said, I'm not a big fan of sewing. So once I'm done this here, this is the tail. What I do is then you just pull through the rest of your yarn. Just pull through. I like to hold on to the tail ends and stuff just so that it doesn't bunch up. The problem with yarn is that it's abrasive, right? So when it touches and you're pulling, it just clumps up like this. So sometimes I'm just kind of like holding the end bit so it doesn't clump up. And there you go. And after that, I pull to loosen it a little bit. But essentially that's what that looks like. As you can see, both of those sit flush together, and you do not see this yarn. What I generally do is I just kind of keep on going for a little bit while longer before I take the needle out, and then I do this part here. So I'm going to quickly do a couple of more, and I'm going to fast forward this part so you don't have to like sit here and watch me sew. But once that's done, I'm going to show you guys what I do with the end tail bit. And welcome back. So I've done a couple more, and I think this is comfortable enough for me to hide this. So I am hiding this. For those of you who realize, oh, hey, you know what, this is the end bits, and when you put on the fringe, you could literally just tie this in with your fringe. I'm OCD. I don't like leaving these like kind of things just dangling around. I like to just kind of get them done. So what I did before, right, as you noticed, like we looped this at the very beginning, so now you don't have to worry about this thing moving at all, which is really nice. You just essentially insert your hook in and just go through down the middle of the work that you've done. I kind of like to go like maybe, let's say, like a couple of inches, let's say that like right there. Generally speaking, I'm feeling, once I feel like a really kind of rough patch, that's where I pull through, because I was like, oh, there must be a lot of knots there. Yay me. So there you go. And then what I do is I go back and I still try to hide it. I'm going to try and loop through the yarn. And this is where my OCD comes in. So generally speaking, if you go down and up, you're good enough. But I like to go back down again. Back to there. And then back up one last time. You know, you can never be too careful with these projects. And the last thing I want to do is to make a gift for someone. Like a beautiful gift that's taken months to make, and have it unravel on me. There you go. And that's how I hide my end bits. And that's how I do my sewing. Like I said, this might not be the best sew job, but this is the only type of sew job that I know how to do. So for those of you who know how to do this better, please, please, please just let me know. But this is how I do my sewing. And like I said, it just looks really nice. I can hide my yarn and no one can see. It doesn't pucker, and it just kind of lays flat. So your job is to kind of piece all 7 of them together, and I'm going to go finish that off right now. And then we will come back and we will finish off the fringe, and then we'll be done this project. Are you guys excited? I am very excited. I'm getting so tired of looking at this. Anyways, this part of the video is over. Let's move on to the fringe. Hello, we are now going to be working on the fringe. I have rolled up my work here just because it's just so gigantic so that it can fit on my itsy bitsy little coffee table that I'm kind of recording on. Essentially, the fringe is pretty simple to do. You need to start here. I decided that I'm going to put pretty much a bit of fringe here, 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 and then maybe right in the middle right there. So pretty much every single time we have kind of like a big group of like double, or these are triple crochets or double crochets, that's where I'm going to be putting them. The project asks you to first grab a strand of 3. These are roughly about 24 inches. I just found like a cutting board and I just kind of wrapped it around a couple of times. I just was too lazy to cut them out to like 24 inches. But essentially, you're going to go to here, and you're going to go to the very, very, very last, I guess this is a half double crochet. Yeah, half double crochet there. And then you're going to grab this with a loop and pull through. And when you're done, you're going to have 3 strands on each side. Just even them out to make sure that they are the same length, or roughly the same length. You're going to get a chance to kind of cut them and stuff later. And then once you've done that, just do a simple knot. I actually am not going to be knotting them very, very, very tight. The reason why is because I kind of like them looking loose. So I'm kind of leaving about like an inch of room at the top there. So that's like that. Once you're done the ends, so this is just the end. So you have 3 strands for this end, and then this 3 strands for the other end. You're going to grab 6 strands for the next one, and you're going to do exactly the same thing. So we're going to go into here, and we're going to grab the strands, and we're going to get through, and make sure you get all 6 of them through. Once you're done that, you're going to pull through like this. So even them out again to make sure that they're around the same length. There you go. And then we are going to put a knot through them. Alright, and like before, I'm going to leave about an inch of space. Yeah, there you go. Good. I tie these ones a little bit tighter just so that they're kind of closer in size. You have less material in the end, but you know, I'm kind of like a stickler for that kind of stuff. Let's do one more. So another strand of 6, and we're going to go into this group right here now. I'm going to grab the yarn, go through. Alright, once we're done that, let's make sure they're even. Awesome, awesome. And then we're going to put a knot through them. There we go. Shim up a little bit. There we have it. If you guys are really kind of super anal about the direct, like exact length of all of these, I mean, I invite you guys to maybe measure, but I am not that anal about things. So you would continue on finishing off this, but for the sake of the tutorial, I don't want this to be too long. So we're going to work with these 3. Once you are done, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the end here, and you're actually going to grab 3 of the strands. So you should have 6 in the strand here. And then you're going to go to this one here, and you're going to grab 3 strands as well. Like so. There we go. And then you are going to put a knot in these 6. And you've noticed that we have a bunch of strands left over. we'll talk about those in a bit. For now, grab the strands and put a knot through them. And since I put like about an inch on the ones on top, I think I'll put about the same distance as well on the bottom there. Yeah, there we go. There's a knot there. Then you will grab 3 strands from this end and the second one. Once you've done that, you're going to grab 3 strands from this third one here. Let's take these 3. And you will knot these 2 together. So. Alrighty. I find that as I'm kind of getting the knot kind of where I've positioned it to be, I like pulling like this, so that way it's kind of even-ish. There you go. So now you have 3 knots on top, 2 knots on the bottom, and the strands on the back. So actually what happens is once you're done one side, you're actually going to flip it to the other side and then use these 3 strands and tie the other end. So you're going to have 1 knot on the first row and then double on the other side. So that's why you have all these extra ones lying around, but essentially that's what that looks like right there. So you have 3 and 2, and you would just continue on and finish off. This is pretty simple, and I like this because it's very simple to do, but it looks really nice when it's done. I'm actually going to continue on and finish the rest of this. Once I'm done this, I'll show you kind of what that whole like 2-tiered thing looks like, and then we can finish off this tutorial. Alrighty, so I am done the entire one side of the fringe, and this is essentially what it looks like. It looks really nice. I like it a lot. So you have the initial knot at the very top, and then you take 3 strands from one side, 3 strands from the other, and make this first one here. And then once you're done all one side doing that, you have to flip to the other side and make the other knot. So that's why there's 2 of them here. But they layer really nicely and they look really, really great. So I like it. I mean, I pretty much just figured out, like, I was like, oh, you know, like about an inch and about an inch here. That's about like the spacing that I wanted. And it turned out really nice. For those of you who are worried about, like, you know, oh, do I need odd numbers or even numbers of these? Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. However many, they will always be correct no matter what. But essentially what I did was I put 1 at the end, obviously, and then I put 1 each here. And then I put 1 right in the middle, and then put 2 here, and then I put 1 right in the middle where you sewed the 2 of them together. And that's kind of how I kind of measured it out. It's not completely equal, as you can see, but it works. It doesn't use that much yarn, but yeah, like I said, it looks really nice. Also, I didn't trim the ends. There is an optional thing of trimming the ends, so then that way it's a little bit more kind of like nice and kind of like same length. I actually like the difference in lengths. I kind of like it makes it feel like and look a lot more like, you know, a DIY. You just did it yourself. So I like that, so I'm going to keep it. Anyways, that is the end of the tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope it helped. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you guys were inspired to make such a pretty project. A long project, but still a pretty project. Let me know, comment, give me some suggestions on how to make these even easier to follow, even better for you guys, so then that way people in the future will, you know, learn more from these tutorials. Thank you so much, and let's go to the outro right now. And welcome back. Thank you guys so much for watching the tutorials part 1 and part 2. So like I said before, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about this project in case this helps any of you. I'm thinking of actually doing this as like a completely different video, like a 3rd video from my tutorials and stuff, just so that people can have an idea of what they're getting themselves into before doing the project. So firstly, as those of you know, this project has a lot of pieces. So not only do you have to make kind of like the granny squares, you also have to make the border for each of the rows and then connect them together and then make the fringe. So there's a lot of moving parts, and it actually takes quite a bit of time. Each line makes 15 little squares. You have to make 15 of them and then make the border and the border. So essentially you have 15 different things you're connecting together, and there's a lot of sewing. I myself don't like sewing, so this was a very big challenge because essentially you had 15 squares, so you have 15 tails to hide, and then you had 2 of the borders, so you had 2 on each side to hide, so that's 19. So it's 19 times 7. After that, you had to connect them together, so you had 2 tails there and you had 6 of them to connect. That's another 12 connections to hide everything. So it's a lot of sewing, and I will say it looks really nice, right? The kind of like different gradients of color and stuff, but this project really works if you do a solid color because you can hide the tails really easily. I found that while I was hiding, I mean obviously with such a large project you probably won't notice, but I am very OCD, so when I was hiding I was trying really hard to find the exact color, exact places I could hide the tails without people noticing. So do be mindful of that. It's going to be a long project, there's going to be a lot of sewing involved, and a solid color will actually be a lot easier than something like this where there's kind of like an ombre. Another thing to keep in mind, the project, I can't remember exactly how many square feet or meters, I'll post it right here, that they asked for, but I realized that when I was making this project, I needed way more than what was actually asked for. So including, let me grab my yarn. So I used this yarn here. This is the Lion brand ice cream big scoop in I think cookies and cream. So with the project and what was asked of you, 3 of these would have been okay. This is my 4th, and I used like maybe half of this. And I wasn't overly liberal with the tail ends and how long they were, so be mindful, get enough yarn for the project, and then buy an extra skein just in case, because I needed to go out and get an extra one. So be mindful of that. This uses a lot more, and I don't know, I tend to have very tight knots and stitches, so I was even surprised myself that I needed more than less. So just a heads up for you guys there. But other than that, this is a really nice project. It's really pretty. Like, look at how nice this is, right? Like, it's awesome. And it does take a while. It's not the longest project I've done. I have another one that I've made that's even longer. But this did take me the better part of the half of the year. I started this in like maybe July. I started making some of these kind of like the granny squares and stuff, and it took until now to finish everything. And I'm still finishing off the second part of the fringe on the other side of this. But this is a really wonderful blanket. It's a great gift. It's actually really easy. It just takes a long time. There's not a lot of crazy stitches or whatever that you need to learn how to do. So it's great. Also, what's really awesome is that because it's so repetitious, you get to do it a lot. And hopefully that means that you'll be able to memorize some of these things so that in the future when you do them again, you'll be able to do them. But I think for those of you who are doing this on your own, have patience. And for those of you who may be doing this with friends and stuff, this actually might be a good thing. Like, you could have someone make the granny squares and then someone hide in all the things and then put in the borders, someone sew it together, and then someone put it on like the fringe and stuff. So this could be something that could be like, you know, kind of like a factory line type of way if you guys wanted to make a bunch of these and kind of give them out as gifts and stuff. But those are my thoughts on the project. It still turned out great, and it's beautiful, and it's really warm. I'm already kind of sort of sweating underneath this, and I'm not even covering myself with this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope this part was helpful. Like I said, I'm going to start doing these videos probably on the side, so then that way you guys know exactly what you're getting yourself into. It might help you guys, you know, maybe double check with yourself before you actually jump into a project. Thank you guys so much. I will see you guys next time on our next Crochet Impossible video. Bye.